What we do here is go back.
It will be a historic night one way or the other, but we're watching them and waiting to see what kind of word we have.
Rick, what kind of guidance did Doug Jones' campaign folks give you and the other members of the media there about when we might hear from him? Have they said anything?
They told us that he would come out momentarily at some point tonight, but there was no promise of when that was going to be. And I think at this point, when you're looking at the numbers as close as they are, you've got AP and New York Times calling it. I guarantee you in that suite somewhere in this building, Doug Jones and his folks are giving a nervous high five, but they're not celebrating until they know for sure they've got it. Well, they just heard it here.
That is a roar from Doug Jones supporters in downtown Birmingham on this unprecedented election and what could be an absolutely monumental upset, not just in Alabama politics, but in our nation right now.
The fallout from this is national for so many reasons. Let's start with the most obvious, that within the next week or so, and again, it takes about a week to certify these results, assuming the margin is north of 0.5%, which would trigger a recount. If this holds, Doug Jones would fly to Washington, D.C., be sworn in perhaps sometime in the next 7 or 8 days as the senator from Alabama. Now remember, before the end of this month, they have to fund the government, they have to raise the debt ceiling, the Senate still has to vote on that final tax reform package, and now Republicans move from a 52-48 margin to a 51-49 margin of victory, if you will, or error in the U.S. Senate. So they now have just 1 vote or 2 votes to play around with on tight legislation if this margin holds. So that is why so much of the country is focused on this race, a race in a ruby red state. Many people, I see Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin there in our frame, right, a Jones supporter. Perhaps we'll get a chance to talk to him in a second. A race that most people, even 2 or 3 months ago, would have told you would not have been competitive.
And it's worth mentioning that Donald Trump won Alabama by 28%. Right. I mean, widespread support in the state of Alabama, which just speaks to the upset of this race, the change that has happened across the electorate given the volatility of this race, and the narrative that has played in the background regarding the allegations against Roy Moore, and this groundswell of attention regarding sexual assault, sexual misconduct, the Me Too movement. All of that has been playing in the background, and it will be very interesting to see. We've talked a lot about the importance of the African-American vote for a Doug Jones victory, but it'll be interesting to see how women voted in the state of Alabama once this is all said and done.
I think the breakdown of the vote will be extremely interesting in a number of different breakdowns. There's the gender breakdown, there will be rural versus urban, there will be all kinds of ways you can split that vote up demographically as we begin to analyze what has happened here tonight. And going forward, the question, of course, becomes, is this a simply unique, one-of-a-kind race between 2 unique candidates for their party, if you will? A candidate in the Republican, Roy Moore, who did not have the full support of his own party, both in the state and nationally. A Democrat, Doug Jones, who had the support of a lot of local Democrats, but frankly tried hard not to nationalize this race and not to get a lot of national Democrats in here because he knew that would only repel some of those crossover Republicans he needed to win this race. And above all, this was a turnout race today. And it will be very interesting to see how many Republicans chose to stay home. A number we haven't even mentioned yet, by the way, and I hope we can get to at some point, is the number of write-in votes today and how big a margin that will be. Right now, it looks like about 18, almost 19,000 voters took the time to go to the polls today, but did not vote for Doug Jones, did not vote for Roy Moore, wrote in a name on that ballot. That's about 1.5% of the electorate in a race that right now, that is the difference between these two candidates.
And just to bring our viewers up to speed, if you are just joining us, if you're dipping in and out of coverage right now, we are reporting 91% of the precincts have their votes in. Doug Jones has a very slim lead. The Associated Press and the New York Times have both called the race, declaring Doug Jones the victor in this.
Hey guys, and welcome back. Well, as I promised you, I told you I would be watching this race in Alabama, which involved the Republican candidate Roy Moore against Doug Jones. And it's official, Doug Jones did win that election. Now, it was a close call, even though all the allegations that were made on Moore molesting young girls, plus the racist statements made by his wife and himself in campaign meetings and everything. But it was Doug Jones got 50% of the vote, and Roy Moore got 48% of the vote. Well, as you know, people are, saying that Roy Moore is a sore loser, because even though the national AP had certified Doug Jones way before all the ballots were counted, they had came out and said that he was the winner. Even Roy Moore was still saying it's too close to call, and that they had some military votes that had not been counted. He refuses to concede. He aims at a recount, which a recount is done if it's a close margin of a half a point or below. They automatically do a recount, but as you can see, there's a 2% margin. Well, if those absent ballotees or will not change the percentage of the vote, then there will be no recount, and or Moore can call a recount, but he would have to pay for it. Donald Trump has already tweeted and congratulating Doug Jones on his victory, but no more Moore is refusing to concede, as which is all that he said and all this came forward, I'm not surprised. But Alabama did do the right thing, because the nation, yes, we were looking at you. So that's wonderful. Coming from Alabama, which is a red state, which is a Republican state, I forgot how long it has been since they had a Democratic senator, but it's been a while. But congratulations to Doug Jones. And, with Roy Moore, I think they should look into those allegations now more thoroughly and, see if these allegations are true. And if they are, I think they should be bringing indictments against the alleged Chester the molester, the Roy Moore. So we'll watch and see what happens with that as well. But again, congratulations to the Democratic Alabama U.S. Senator Doug Jones, and congratulations to Alabama for doing the right thing. All right. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, in parting, y'all, be blessed. Bye.
What we do here is go back.